Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. Um, my name is Mu'taz. I'm a SOLIDWORKS Territory Technical Manager, and today we're gonna discuss all what you need to do about, or what you need to know about SOLIDWORKS ECAD. Please feel free to have your questions in the question area, and if you couldn't see the screen, if you couldn't hear me, please drop me something in the question area. So let's get started. Starting with the traditional process, the current traditional process between electrical designers and mechanical designers. So that's the current perspective that electrical and mechanical groups involved in machine design and other industries, and most probably they are working in series. So in some cases, the mechanical leads, in other cases, the electrical leads, but a work progress at the end, it will be in series, step by step. And in fact, that will result in a lot of problems. For example, the bill of materials. So the electrical schematic designers, they cannot get the actual wire length unless they have a mechanical perspective. In some cases, they just imagine that, yes, we can make holes somewhere in the enclosure, let's say, but in fact, the mechanical designers, they cannot do that because there is a fan. And we all know about these cases that in electrical schematics, we always design things in 2D, and even in most of the cases, we don't have a good perspective of what are the actual dimensions of these components. So what we are trying to accomplish is try to get these in parallel instead of get them in series. And this is actually will save a lot of money and a lot of time. So being able to work in parallel instead of sequentially is a much better way to work, and issues can be found earlier, and of course a better business decision could be made earlier. And to do this, we have to have a different tools. We have to get a smart tools to be able to make a better business decisions. And SOLIDWORKS has all the capabilities nowadays to do that. It's actually providing end-to-end product design solutions. So it's with the inclusion of SOLIDWORKS ECAD into all the SOLIDWORKS family of products, Dassault Systèmes SOLIDWORKS is the only company to provide a professional end-to-end ECAD to MCAD solution. SOLIDWORKS is one of them, SOLIDWORKS Electrical and SOLIDWORKS Electrical 3D, and the whole family of the SOLIDWORKS, it's providing a comprehensive and collaborative ECAD plus MCAD solutions. And in fact, today we will discuss starting from our old add-in, and we have had this add-in, I believe, since 2005, which is SircuitWorks. So what's actually SircuitWorks is a solution to produce a SOLIDWORKS assembly from the IDF file. So we all know that most of the electronic solution, they are providing IDF format, and what the SircuitWorks is doing is just importing the IDF format in a real 3D environment. And this is really could be beneficially for the designers, so they could understand will it fit. They can answer the question of knowing the position of the key electrical components, and they can use the component library directly. So while importing what the SolidWorks is doing is using the component library, so can be used with the pre-existing component models. And also it's supporting all the IDF files, and in that case you can check the holes, the cutouts, keep out areas, check all the notes. So and the analysis also, it will be very useful when using in the model for thermal analysis, for electromagnetic analysis, and of course it could be used for salespeople when you are importing your circuit boards into SolidWorks to give visualization of your product. Moving from SolidWorks to electrical routing. So electrical routing, again, it exists by default. Yeah, I forget to mention that SolidWorks by default it's included in SolidWorks Professional, and electrical routing it's included by default in SolidWorks Premium. So when you have a SolidWorks Premium, you already have the capability of routing the cables between the components, between the sockets, and it's included in the capability of flex cable design or edge flex cable designs, even doing the harness, the drawings, the bill of materials, all that stuff in 3D could be done using SolidWorks electrical routing, which again, it's including in SolidWorks Premium package. Moving one step again, so we will have SolidWorks Electrical. So SolidWorks Electrical actually is a different package, so it's not including by default in SolidWorks. And starting from the 2D schematic, it has the capability to have a single and multi-line schematic diagrams. So you can do both of them, single and multi-line schematic. And it also has the capability to have a 2D documentation, which is all the drawings, bill of material, wire list, terminal strips list. So you can have a massive of documents out of your projects when you are using SolidWorks Electrical. And it's by default multi-user environment if you are thinking about SolidWorks Electrical Professional. But there is a smaller package, which is SolidWorks Electrical Standard, which is single user by default. So in this case, if you are thinking to develop your component alone and you're not engaged with another users, so the best fit with you is SolidWorks Electrical Standard, because SolidWorks Electrical Professional, it has a multi-user environment design capability. So one of the users, when working in a project, he can see the other user, what they are doing, if they are changing anything. And it has a PLC management automation tools to integrate the PLCs into your design. And the good thing about SolidWorks Electrical is that it has an over than 500,000 standard electrical parts. And when you are connecting to SolidWorks Electrical by default, you're having the open gate to all of these suppliers. So simply, SolidWorks Electrical is utilizing intelligent single line or traditional multi-line schematic and a library of thousands of electrical schematic samples in parts. You can develop and embedded electrical system designs in real time and a collaborative multi-user environment. So what is SolidWorks 3D? SolidWorks Electrical 3D. It's integrated electrical schematic design data with SolidWorks 3D model of a machine or other products. It's bidirectional and in real time. So it's moving you simply from the 2D schematic to the 3D world with all the inputs, with all the data, the information that you have put it in the schematic, and you need to sit in 3D. So in this case, you can use SolidWorks Electrical 3D. You can place all your electrical items. You can plan 3D cables, routings, harness, and also it has the same web link, but not for samples, not for 2D, but you can have it also for 3D models. Moving to a higher package of SolidWorks Electrical, we can give me here SOLIDWORKS Electrical Professional. So what is the SOLIDWORKS Electrical Professional? Simply combining both of the previous package of SOLIDWORKS Electrical Schematic and SOLIDWORKS Electrical 3D, combining them together into uh, main functionality of SOLIDWORKS Electrical. So it's really powerful, and uh, it's ideally suited for the user who supports both electrical and mechanical design integration. So let's have a look of SOLIDWORKS Electrical, what it does, and starting from SOLIDWORKS CAD, we can see here the electrical enclosure, and maybe one of the user are dealing with that projects. And when moving back to the SOLIDWORKS Electrical Schematic, that's the user interface. If you never been using it before, it's very simple and it's a project based, so you can have all your projects that you're working on, and you can see here clearly that one of the users are already connected to the same project that I'm trying to use. And once I'm opening that, it's give me the same message that one of the user is doing that. So what you have in a project, just like a documents. So all of your documents will be in a single line diagram, multi-line diagram, and even the assembly, you can have a look of the assembly. And what we will try to do here is to connect our black box to the antenna and getting a cable from the terminal to the motor. And to do this, we have to complete a power circuit diagram and control circuit diagram. Starting from the wires, I will try to go through drawing 4 wires, which representing the cables coming from the main line to the motors. Then I need to insert the motor sample. So we can have here excessive libraries, even categorized according to the category that you're looking for. I'm looking for a motor, so I'm just hitting the motor category and then inserting that. And it's not only inserting the motor like in a simple 2D environment. Here it's more intelligent than that because it's grabbing all the manufacturing information into the motor. And we will see that, for example, I can search for a reference number of that motor. If I know the manufacturer, I can even categorize by the manufacturer. And SOLIDWORKS Electrical give me the green sign so that I can insert my sample. It's matching my line diagram. And we can see here all the attributes attached, the smart attributes attached to the sample. So we can understand the what type of motor is that, how many RPMs involved in that motor. And then I need to get some protection to that line diagram. So I may need to insert a relay. So we can here search for the relay, or maybe you can pick one of the items. So I will insert the relay and even assign the relay to a manufacturing component. So I have that in the list. I don't have to search for that. I'm just selecting it from the list, from my previous list, and then attaching a contactor. And that's the Schneider electrical contactor. So all of the components comes with the manufacturing properties, the attributes of the manufacturer. And even for inserting a terminal strip, assigning the right number to the terminal strip, and SOLIDWORKS Electrical do the rest of numbering. So if you give up with wire numbering, if you give up with assigning the right metadata to your samples, the right solution to do is to convert yourself to SOLIDWORKS Electrical Schematic. We finished almost the power circuit, and we need to go forward and having the control circuit. So I'm starting here from creating some wires. And for these wires, maybe I need to assign some push button or maybe emergency button. So assigning the sample and assigning the lead. And as we are going forward, we can see here that we are missing maybe some component from the contactor. So that this contactor has a a coil that needs to be attached. And SolidWorks Electrical show us that this is green, which means that it's connected to something. But what about the blue color? So there is no reference for 13 and 14 points. So what I have to do is to find myself another contactor, and I will assign that to the contactor. So that sample, once it's assigned to the contactor, SolidWorks Electrical can understand that, yeah, all of your point of contacts of the contactor has been attached so far. Even here, we can just use a capability like copy and paste. So I need to get a copy of my wiring over there and attach it to other wire. And to do that, I can simply right-click the wire, the original one, and then copy the attribute to the other wires. So I'm just copying the attribute to the other wires to get them matching the same wire properties. We almost finished the control part, and we need to bring a layout of our enclosure. And maybe finish, we need first we need to complete the single line diagram. Actually, some of the companies are not making both of them, single line and multi-line. So most of the companies are doing only one. But here I'm just showing the capability that we are able to do a single line diagram plus the multi-line diagram. And how can we connect the antenna, for example, and the single line diagram? We are just assigning again the sample of the sockets and then attaching a cable between the two sockets. But as for now, they are not, SolidWorks Electrical doesn't understand that they are connected. We have to assign a cable number to them. And to do that, we double click the cable, and then we can find all the wires inside the cable. But we have to assign a core cable to that. So in my library, I have already predefined some of the cables. I will assign one of them, which is the black cable. And then it's a talkative interface, so you can see the original component, destination component, and then you need to connect between them. Connect the 2 points to the 2 points of contact. And now clearly we can see that a W5 is assigned to the cable. Let's move to the layout, the cabinet layout. So I will make the main cabinet layout. So first, scaling a little bit my cabinet layout, then I will insert it as a footprint. We call that a footprint in SolidWorks Electrical. And then we have to insert a couple of rails and ducts. So we can attach our components. We can change the size of that. But remember, that gives you only an indication of what your cabinet will look like. It's still a 2D. Inserting, but another good thing here, that's we can find all the components that we have used so far in our multi-line diagram and single line diagram. They are here. So what you have to do just to find which one has not been inserted yet, and then insert it. So that capability gives you an indication of how many components you're going to use in your enclosure. So you don't have to wait until you have a, let's say, a prototype of your enclosure, and then find out if all of these components are going to fit the enclosure or not. And anytime you can change the location of the components. We get the components so far, and this is one of the documents that will be used in publishing the projects. And we need to go to 3D. So in SOLIDWORKS Electrical 3D, we can have the same tree exactly. So whatever you are inserting in the SOLIDWORKS Electrical Schematic, you can find it here in SOLIDWORKS Electrical 3D. And by the same way, you can insert a component, and the perfect way to insert it is to depend on SOLIDWORKS. So SOLIDWORKS can have a direct mate with your components. All you have to do is just to insert the component and hover your mouse over the location. And with the smart mate inside SOLIDWORKS, the component could be placed perfectly. Good. So I'm just inserting the two sockets between the black box and the antenna. So how can we wire the cables? Route the cables. So simply we can route the cables of all the components. So what the SOLIDWORKS routing is doing is just searching for all the cables and trying to find the location, the best and the shortest path for the route. Mission accomplished. Good. So what about the other wires between the contactor, relays, and the power strips? So to do that, you can have electrical routing, wires, and then it's done. Awesome. I like this part actually, when SOLIDWORKS electrical routing do all the wiring. And by this, the main benefit is when you come back to the SOLIDWORKS electrical schematic, you will find that all the lengths of the wire has been updated. So that was the SOLIDWORKS electrical part, and let's move to the SOLIDWORKS PCB. Again, it's another stage of SOLIDWORKS ECAD, but here we are talking about electronic part of the design. So you could have a key benefits of a bridging between the mechanical design and electronic design, and it's really beneficiary for the mechatronics designers. It's vital link to support any Internet of Things strategy. And in the future, we are trying to reach everything as a smart component, so a smart thing. So we are trying to have a smart phone calls, even a smart fridge, a smart whatever. So all of our design should be smart. So it's the key linkage between SOLIDWORKS to SOLIDWORKS electrical and the key linkage to SOLIDWORKS ecosystems. And we will talk about SOLIDWORKS ecosystem at the end of this presentation. And support downstreaming data fusion between ECAD and simulation. And it's being used by many of SOLIDWORKS' largest customers so far. So what are the capabilities of SOLIDWORKS PCB? First, schematic capture. To also its integrated collaboration between the PCB layout and its real-time supplier links. So in this case, you can have all the supplier data inside the samples, and even you can have, if you have a special account and contract with the manufacturer, you can get even the cost and the price of the components. It's traditional PCB layout, so with the schematic cross probe and active routing technologies, that also has the capability with integrated the collaboration between schematic and SOLIDWORKS, design rules, checks, and extensive library and reuse capabilities. And also one of the main functionality is the 3D visualization layout. So in the SOLIDWORKS PCB, you have the ability to have a 3D visualization, we call that a polygon visualization of your circuit boards. So another capability is functionality is SOLIDWORKS mechanical collaboration. So all your changes in the design could be interactively collaborated between electrical and mechanical. And it's fully integrated actually. So when you finish your print, the PCB, you can insert it into SolidWorks, and then you can have all your wire routing, cable routing, and also you can insert that in SolidWorks electrical. So finally, we need to reach the SolidWorks ecosystem, and we need to get that ready with all the PCBs, the electrical wiring, and even furthermore with the PDM, with all functionalities of the SolidWorks products family. So I just don't want to repeat the same slide again. Let's go to some examples. And first, let's discuss about SolidWorks PCB. It has two packages actually. The first one is SolidWorks PCB, and it's a complete suite of electronic design tools from 2D schematic until you get the whole 3D in a mechanical and SolidWorks ECAD. And then you have another package of SolidWorks PCB. We call that a PCB connector, and it's an add-in for Altum designers because we are bringing more than 50 years of experience. We, as the Soul System SolidWorks and Altum, of course, we have more than 25 years of experience in design, and Altum, they have about the same, 25. So we are bringing more than 50 years of experience with that technology. So let's have a look of face it with the design tools and process you already use and the best way to get job done. So let's watch if we are in SolidWorks and we have a PCB design and we decided to change the dimension of the PCB, and we need to push this information directly to electronic people, electronic designers. So I'm just pushing that, and the other side of the SolidWorks PCB, we can see the changes, we can reject or accept the changes. So once we accept it, it's applied directly on SolidWorks PCB. So that's really eliminating the need of manual file and data exchange, and it's really ensuring that the design are synchronized. Another example here is the user interface. It is inspired by SolidWorks, so it's taking the same language of the ease of use user interface, and it's fully integrated. So we can have the passes, the traces, the routing capabilities, all the routing capabilities, even with the check with the rules, and even with the more complex design of multi-track and differential pair routing modes are also available. One of the most innovative feature that SolidWorks PCB is the ability to incorporate SolidWorks models with the PCB design environment. So even if you have a 3D model that you need to import it into SolidWorks PCB, you can do that. And you can have a rule of check. So it's a powerful 3D collision engine with a real-time highlight capabilities, makes simple and easy to find interface and fit the problem. So you can see here that any red colors is presenting that there is a collision. And of course, you can do the same in SolidWorks, collision detection in SolidWorks. This is the same capability. And in this case here, for example, you can have a clear vision of all your copper traces inside SolidWorks with the capability of SolidWorks PCB, of course. Moving to the schematic again, To ensure the design is done right at the first time, SolidWorks PCB incorporates a wide range and customizable design rules. Checks that keep your schematic and PCB layout error-free throughout the design process. So it's making informed decisions when selecting a new component is vital to ensure the cost to minimize supply chain interruptions. So in this case, we can get all the components from the supplier directly. So it has a great web link between SolidWorks PCB and the suppliers. Almost come to the end. So what is the SolidWorks ecosystem? It's simply from, let's say, from electrical design to mechanical design to manufacturing data and documentation, analysis and data management. That's the SolidWorks ecosystem. That's the whole environment that you are dealing with the SolidWorks products family. It's provide professional solution for both ECAD and MCAD design process throughout the supply chain. We almost come to the end. So please feel free to contact me if you need more information. And of course, you can contact your nearest reseller. Thank you so much for joining me today. And please, if you have any question, just drop it in the question area. Yeah, I have one question here. Is that can I get the webinar recorded? Yes, of course. After the session, I will make sure that it will be recorded and all the links will be sent to you all. Do we have any more questions? Okay, so I have one question here that I need more material for studying the PCBs. It's okay, of course. Maybe after this session, I will be contacting you, and I will provide you with the correct. I will direct the correct person to get this material. Okay, thank you. So I think that's all. And please have my email with you if you feel any doubts, and if you face any problem, just drop me an email. Thank you so much for joining me today, and have a good day for you all.